So let's get into it.
Got it.
Look at my handmade djembe that I got.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I got it at Festival International. Can you guess
The
how much
one
I
and
paid?
only in Lafayette, Louisiana. $40.
50.
50.
You know how much? I'm trying to get a good angle. There we go.
I was close.
Real goat skin.
Sounds very djembe-y.
It sounds awesome. It sounds like an ancient drum. Ancient, like the forest found in the Sinkhole in Guangxi, China that we're going to be talking
Dude,
about
that transition was smooth. Logic, quit jumping on my fucking screen.
And just like sinkholes that appear, I've got more than one to show you. This is the Big Mac Daddy I got at Festival International. Look at that.
Dude, how much was that one bought? That was like $100, huh?
120.
Oh, shit. You got a guitar strap for it and everything, son.
It sounds good. See, the thing is, the other one that I got from Musician's Friend, like the regular djembe you buy from a music store kind of thing, was 240, 270, something like that.
Whoa.
So I got those two.
Does it even sound as good?
No, it's not tuned the same either, and it doesn't have a goat skin, so potentially it can, but still, these are handmade from Africa. So anyway, I've been talking about these djembes forever since I bought them. I love them.
No, not on the podcast you haven't, though, so you got to let the people know.
Letting the people
You
know.
got to let the people know, Bill. Sorry, I know it looks like I'm looking at my phone. I'm just trying to get all the articles from my phone to the computer.
You're good, because we also have to let the people know about sinkholes in ancient China.
I have that one up if you want to
fall right into
jump in there.
Yeah, that's the first one you sent me this past week, so let's do it. So there's a sinkhole.
Yeah, so I found out about this tip, and he was like, "Hey, you've heard about the sinkholes they're finding in China?" I'm like, "No, what the fuck are you talking about?" She said, "Yeah, I found out about on TikTok that there's this sinkhole and there's this ancient forest at the bottom of it, and there's unknown species that they haven't found there." And I immediately said, "Oh my god, I got to text Dylan. This fucking Hollow Earth is real." I immediately went there. Before I even read the article, I had just manifested that Hollow Earth was real. We finally discovered it. And then I read the article, and it's not quite as fantastical, but still pretty cool. Anyway,
yeah, it's still pretty dope.
Proceed. Sorry.
No, man, because I just saw something about Edmund Halley, and it reminded me that he believed in Hollow Earth and thought it consisted of 4 spheres. And he's the guy that saw Halley's Comet and all that. So Hollow Earth, if you want to go there, let's go there, big dog.
Well, that's what this reminded me of, that there's like, these concentric rings that are below the Earth's crust. And there's different levels of Hollow Earth, and that was one of them. There's this forest that's growing. It was just, anyway.
Yeah, pictures right here.
That's not exactly what happened with this sinkhole, but it's pretty cool.
Trees up to 40 meters tall were found at the bottom. Scientists believe it could contain undiscovered plants and animal species. Cave explorers in the Guangxi region of South China alerted scientists when they found the sinkhole, which had a primitive forest inside. Among 30 sinkholes in Leh County, this is the largest at 306 meters long, 150 meters wide, 192 meters deep. That's big, man.
Dude, look at the size of that thing from the satellite images, or the aerial photo, I guess.
It's huge. It's like a huge city water reservoir. How deep was it? It was like 306 meters is almost 1,000 feet.
192 meters deep.
Okay, yeah, so it was like...
That's pretty deep.
Yeah, it's pretty deep. That's... Especially considering that at the bottom there was like an ancient forest, because it's been growing. It's just these 2 layers of earth, these 2 layers of history separated. Like this history, and then I don't know how old that bottom layer was.
Yeah, did they do carbon dating on it? I don't recall if the article called that out.
Yeah, there wasn't much in the article. Let's see. Zhang Yuanhai, a senior engineer at the Institute of Karst Geology, because this is a karst landscape, which they go on to describe what a karst landscape is, told the state news agency that the site had 3 caves in its walls and a well-preserved primitive forest at the bottom. There's caves in the walls. It might be hollow earth. Scientists trekked for hours to reach the base of the sinkhole to see what it contained. Chin Ligzen said that as well as the trees, there was dense undergrowth on the floor that came up to his shoulders. He said, I wouldn't be surprised to know that there are species found in these caves that have never been reported or described by science until now.
Yeah, but are these Chinese scientists like how much of the truth are they sharing with us? Maybe they did encounter the superior. Dude, maybe they encounter the superior species down there and they're just not telling us.
They encountered the president of
the giants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giants. Anyway, sorry.
But a karst landscape is described here, formed primarily by the dissolution of bedrock by groundwater. This means dramatic sinkholes and caves are created throughout the area. This one is rare, however, as it is deep but shaped so enough light filters in, which means the large trees can grow.
Yeah, that's what was disappointing. I was like, how are the trees growing within this? Got a unique structure to it. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. Science figures out a way for everything to explain everything away.
Yeah.
I can't think that there's hollow earth with giants living in the sinkholes. Anyway,
man, that would be a great area to go camping. You look around that.
Would you go camping in the sinkhole?
With an experienced tour guide, I'm not really down to just go wandering around in there right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to lay out the terms. Am I going to have a tour guide? Yeah.
Well, with someone who went on this expedition from the scientist team, they made it out safely. Did you go camping like overnight in the sinkhole?
If I have the helicopter and all that they had.
Bitch, yeah. They don't have a helicopter. Where's a helicopter landing on that landscape? They hiked in there.
They hover right here and they drop them on a rappelling rope. That's
what they did? I didn't read that in the article.
Oh, that's what they do.
Got it. Well, you're an expert at spelunking sinkholes, so
yeah,
I'll believe you.
Yeah, for the most part. And speaking of spelunking, we got a issue over here about somebody spelunking a whole lot of money around against Elon Musk. We're talking the feud between Bill Gates and Elon Musk. How interesting was that? This was a fun article that you sent me.
Yeah. This is just super interesting. The billionaires going at each other, and Elon Musk, you got to admit, it's kind of funny the way he engages with it.
Yeah, I am very skeptical of Elon Musk, but it's interesting.
Yeah, they just had a podcast on Tinfoil Hat about Elon Musk and how he's, part of the one world order and all this other shit that's coming around the corner. How he's just basically a scapegoat or a distraction from what's really happening.
Yeah, all the guys that are the face and voice of anything we see is not the top of the totem pole. So, but it's interesting because Elon represents the right at this point and Bill Gates represents the left. One wants more censorship to control the narrative around vaccines and COVID, which is Bill Gates, rightly so, because he has a lot to profit from this whole venture. And then Elon Musk wants to protect the First Amendment and be all about protecting free speech. So it's this perfect cartoonish meme happening in real life between these two philanthropic characters. So let's get into it. Research exclusively shared with Breitbart News identifies hundreds of millions of dollars flowing from Bill Gates, his foundation, to 11 of the 26 organizations that signed an open letter last month urging Twitter advisors to boycott the company if Elon Musk restores free speech on the platform. So 26 organizations.
11 of them link back to
they did not
the
want
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Elon Musk buying Twitter. This was based on research and analysis from the newly formed Foundation of Freedom Online, analyzed public filings to trace hundreds of millions of dollars in contributions from the letter signatories back to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I love how this article gets into this because on one side of the coin, I remember these headlines and these things happening. And this article lays out the details of like, oh, that came from Bill Gates' money. It's just, that's so fascinating. So American businessman Bill Gates attends, that's the caption. In total, 11 of the 26 anti-Musk organizations received funding. The New Venture Fund, which in 2020 received the largest one-year commitment the Gates Foundation had made in more than half a decade, funds 4 of the signatories: the Center for Media Justice, the Media Democracy Fund, the National Hispanic Media Coalition, and Accountable Tech. So Gates funded the New Venture Fund, and the New Venture Fund funded 4 things. The interesting thing about Accountable Tech was somebody traced it back, and I believe it's in this article. They traced that back and found that their office doesn't exist. It was just a prop up account
for the New Venture Fund or whatever.
Yeah, which is interesting because, I mean, how many people out there saw something that came from Accountable Tech and had no idea it was just totally fake? Like people you work
and then
with.
Hundreds of millions of dollars funneled through these.
How much of the world is fake?
That's crazy.
How much of the world is actually fake at the end of the day? So crazy, man.
They talk about, I think it's somewhere in the range of $500 million. Yeah, per FFO's analysis, disclosure files for the Gates Foundation grantee list show a whopping 102 separate cash grants to or through New Venture Fund, totaling an incredible $457 million since 2008.
Good Lord.
$500 million, basically. 50 million short. We're in $450 million range. Who's counting anymore? Holy shit.
If I click on this, this article links through to the companies that got money from Venture Fund. Center for Media Justice. Come here on the influencewatch.org website. You can see in the donor organizations list. New Venture Fund right here.
Yep, right there.
You click on it. So this is all public.
Just got to trace it all back.
Yeah. Just in case your boy is like,
lying.
Who's this bullshit podcast you listen to criticizing Bill Gates? Well, I'll tell you, motherfucker. Here's the fucking evidence. Bullshit my ass. Come get some. New Venture Fund right there. Click on Media Democracy Fund. I actually don't think I saw one. Right here. Yeah, I didn't see New Venture on this one. Anyway,
there was other society organization. It says that's all about New Venture Funds. So I don't know. Should show it right there.
Yeah, $500 million is right here. The open letters connection to the billionaire Microsoft founder is significant, as Gates is in the middle of a public feud. Blah blah blah. Last month, Gates revealed his $500 million short position against Musk-owned Tesla, prompting Musk to call Gates a boner killer alongside a meme of Gates as a pregnant man emoji.
You got to admit, this is pretty funny.
Yeah. What is a $500 million short position? Is that where they bet some companies?
They're betting. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Musk threatens to reverse,
and he's doing, I guess what he's doing could be legally, Gates, that is, could be kind of in the legal gray area, because if he is publicly trying to, come out against Tesla and make Tesla fail, so to speak, I mean, he's influencing his short position.
Yeah. I mean, that's
really
war.
Weird.
Those are fighting words,
Yeah, rich people shit.
So Musk told his 94 million Twitter followers to uncover the funding behind the 26 NGOs who signed that letter. Musk followed up his request by highlighting one particular shadowy group, Accountable Tech, musing, I wonder who funds them. His curiosity was prompted by a Washington Free Beacon investigation into Accountable Tech, which sought to get to the bottom. The Free Beacon visited Accountable Tech's corporate office in Washington and concluded the organization doesn't actually exist. Rather, it was merely a registered trade name for the North Fund, a shape-shifting nonprofit group that uses aliases to push an array of left-wing causes from a shell office in Washington, D.C. Via the Free Beacon, and I love this part, Free Beacon then spoke with Caitlin Sutherland, the executive director of the Watchdog Americans for Public Trust, who identified North Fund as receiving significant capital infusions from two further nonprofits, the 1630 Fund and the New Venture Fund. We just talked about New Venture getting a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. Sutherland found that the North Fund received the $19.3 million from the 1630 Fund and over $11 million from the New Venture Fund, two organizations that share an address in D.C. similar to the North Fund. The groups operate under at least 50 trade names, including Fix Our Senate, Floridians for a Fair Shake, and the Voter Engagement Fund. But the 1630 Fund and the New Venture Fund didn't disclose their donors. But the money trail may not be so cold.
And that's where we talk about, per the analysis, that 102 separate cash grants to the New Venture Fund, totaling an incredible $457 million since 2008.
Yeah, and in 2020 they dumped $85 million. That was when the pandemic was getting hot, and just after.
And then in 2021 it drops from $85 million to $11 million.
Yeah,
basically.
And in 2019 they donated $63 million. 2018 $59 million. 46 million. So they were donating big chunks.
They're ramping up to the election.
Yes, the election cycle. That's what happened. The election cycle was over. Biden won. Vaccine was in full force. Fuck everybody. And they need to swim down to 10 million. Wow, dude. So the New Venture Fund was putting $457 million out to these other avenues. One of those was Accountable Tech, which didn't even exist.
Yeah, it's wild shit, man.
So this is what I'm saying,
and this is how billionaires move around the chessboard. They have these nonprofits that that fund these other nonprofits that have a supposedly good cause, that lobby politicians, and then boom, this is
imagine
how
living
we get a
in
Bill Gates.
Yeah, imagine living in Florida, and right here you see like a Floridians for a Fair Shake campaign going around town. This is what I'm talking about, how fascinating it is, because we see things like that.
Yep. You don't know where the funding come from. And then the people involved, and then the local people involved, they probably legitimately believe in the cause that they're, advocating, and
they're volunteering.
They don't know where the money is coming from or who's funding it. They're just kind of like an innocent bystander in it all.
It's the local office for their county,
right?
And they want to volunteer, and that county just got money, so they're doing something. And that Floridians for a Fair Shake campaign that you see, you're like, don't vote red Denver going around or whatever. That was Bill Gates that whole time. Putting that money,
funding through four different nonprofit organizations that lead these grassroots.
That was Bill Gates' money making it possible.
Yeah,
like that happened because Bill Gates wanted it to happen. That's what I'm saying.
The Zuck bucks that we talked about as well, right? Another example.
I remember that. What were the Zuck bucks? Was that the Facebook crypto or something?
It's similar, where they were funding election reform, so to speak, basically to get people to be able to vote. They were basically funding all these different field offices for the election. Spent somewhere in the range of probably $500 million, if I remember correctly. And they basically... Anyway, go back and listen to the episode. I'm not going to rehash it because I don't remember the details. I'm going to fuck it up, but it's along the same concept here.
So, philanthropy watchdog Sludge noted that 70 million was the largest that they ever gave since 2014, but it could be more Influence Watch reports 126 million in 2020, while FFO corroborated 85 million that year for public records. Okay. So anyway,
we just looked at this. Gates funding dropped all the way down to 11 million for 2021 after the 2020 election cycle ended.
But I think they said it could be more than what's being shown there. That's just for sure. So they said 1630 Fund was a major player in the 2018 midterm elections, but played an even more significant role in the 2020 cycle, spending roughly $60 million funding the most prominent pro-Joe Biden super PACs, including seven-figure donations to Future Forward USA, League of Conservation Voters Action Fund, Take Back 2020, Priorities USA, Unite the Country, American Bridge, America's Progressive Promise, Pacronym, and other groups that spent hundreds of millions of dollars combined on anti-Trump and pro-Biden ads. The Republican-led anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, received $300,000 from 1630 Fund in 2020. The nonprofits of Arabella's network spend millions funding other political organizations and dark money groups such as America Votes and Center for Popular Democracy, but they also spend millions of dollars annually on lobbying the U.S. government. That means Gates' biggest one-year act of charity in more than half a decade, while running the world's largest philanthropy network, was functionally a pass-through payoff to surrogates of the Joe Biden 2020 presidential election campaign. Wow. That was something else.
And you see it, we talk about it happening on the left, but this type of shit's also happening on the right. So we should probably dig into that as well. Like what kind of shady shit does Trump have going on?
That's what I'm saying.
During the election as well.
This cartoonish embodiment of the left philanthropist and the right philanthropist is coming to a head right now because it says here, Musk recently announced he'll be voting Republican for the first time in 2020. Yeah. So Musk is championing in the same way for the right. Just like we don't think Bill Gates actually cares. He's just this pawn making money off of vaccines. Musk doesn't give a fuck either. He doesn't give a fuck about free speech because I don't know why. I do know why, but I don't remember enough to word it. But I was listening to Robbie Martin. Him and Abby Martin did an awesome episode recently on Musk when he announced he was going to buy Twitter and how all of a sudden, basically the point is like all of a sudden our free speech rights are going to be saved by this government subsidized billionaire who is no different than the other billionaires everybody hates. So he's in a way stoking up the right because all the right is thinking they're like, yeah, he's going to save free speech. And all these people are reacting, but they don't actually know.
Yeah, so, I need to go check out that episode of Robbie and Abby talking about him.
It's really good. I listened to it twice. Speaking of listening to things twice, the Voyager space probe, they're having to go over data more than once. They're having to go over it twice.
So this old ass fucking Voyager spacecraft,
44
years old, older than me and you, bro.
It's 14.5 billion miles from Earth. It is older than us. Holy shit! It must be a Ford if it's still running. No way a Chevy spacecraft.
Chevy would have been that far. Cracked heads. What Chevy stand for? I don't remember.
Cheap heap. Every valve rattles. Oil leaks every time.
No, Ford used to. The Chevy guys used to say Ford found on road dead.
Yeah.
Bro, my dad used to be a Chevy dude, and then I remember he bought his first Ford. And I was like, he switched.
Oh, he converted? Really? Why?
Converted. I don't know. It's just because the Chevys he had, I guess, were shit as they got older. I say older, like newer. Like the early 2000s Chevys were dog shit.
I made up my own acronym for Chevrolet a long time ago.
What was it?
Can't have every victory. Roush overlaps every time. Roush Racing, the
I
Roush
get
Racing
it.
team. Yeah, pretty good, huh?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not as catchy. It's not as catchy as the other one.
Yeah, well, it's new.
What was
Okay.
Dodge? Dodge had one too.
Uh, shit, I don't know.
I don't know either, man. I'm gonna have to Google it.
Ford had one. It was fucking old, rebuilt Dodge. But for first on race day, that's how I knew it.
Daily overhauls do get expensive.
Oh my god.
Dead or dying garbage emitter dies on day. Guarantee expires.
Oh.
Drip soil, drops grease everywhere. Damn old dirty gas heater. Dead on day, guarantee expired. They said them twice, you fucking morons.
Oh.
All right, yeah, that's all of them.
All right.
Porsche, proof of rich spoiled children having everything. Jeep, just empty every pocket. Okay, you're gonna love this one, dude. GMC, gay man Chevy.
Stupid.
This is great. Oh, man.
Did you just find a website that's got acronyms?
Yes. That was fun. Anyway.
Okay. What's Voyager?
I don't know.
Virgin on yacht applies grammar.
What?
Applies geometry, except Virgin on yacht applies geometry, except.
How about Buick? Big, ugly, indestructible cat killer. What the fuck does it even mean? Cadillac. Company always denies its lawful liability after collisions.
Sounds
or
like
crazy and dumbass idiots like large American cars.
wow.
Chrysler Company has recommended you start learning engine repair.
That's a good one.
Oh, man.
That's a good one.
Honda had one, never did again.
Shit,
Kia.
man.
Keep inside Asia. So stupid. These are so. I'm just laughing at how hard these are making us laugh. Because they're so dumb. It's like fucking grade school humor. There's like a whole website dedicated to this shit. I can't believe it. Toyota. Too often Yankees overprice this auto.
That was almost good.
Subaru. Screwed up beyond all repair usually. Anyway, that's enough of that. That was a fun segment.
Yeah. Oof.
They really fucking struggle with Hyundai. They put here's why you, but like they just like the U is just with the U in the Hyundai. Here's why you never drive an import. That was a shitty acronym. Anyway, great.
All right, well, let's
Let's
talk about
get
the
back to it.
Voyager.
Voyager, 44 years old. Still running like a Ford.
What was it? Oh yeah, the Voyager space
It's
probe
great.
is suddenly sending NASA wacky data. Voyager 1 has been in interstellar space for nearly 10 years, which basically means that there's not a lot of gas out there. They
What is interstellar space?
There's our solar system, and then once you get, it's the medium
Between systems.
between the stars is what it was called in this article. And they conclude that it's in interstellar space based off of the density of gas in that area. And also in interstellar space, matter is not strong at all. It's not dense at all. So it's like outside the bubble of our solar system where the sun has an impact on gravity and whatnot.
Right.
Get too far and it's a little
It's
different.
the space between stars. I think it's the best definition of it that's simple to understand.
Yeah.
Space between the stars influence.
Just because the Voyager is old doesn't mean it's not useful. Data from the probes revealed a previously unknown phenomena of the interstellar medium. And Voyager 1 recently detected oscillations in the plasma of deep space, of which I have articles for those. We'll get into that. It's possible the source of the gibberish data readouts isn't identified, and NASA engineers simply learned to live with the quirk. Is that it on this article?
You skipped like a whole huge part of it way earlier, but it actually talks about some of the, it goes into why just because the spacecraft are old, that they've still made relevant discoveries in recent years. And there's a couple click-throughs to those discoveries. One of them is this plasma hum that it was able to detect in interstellar space, which they didn't previously think was happening in interstellar space, even though plasma is one of the most abundant elements in the universe. It hums at a constant 3 kilohertz, if I'm not mistaken, so a very low frequency. Yeah, there you go. And then there was another
well, let's stay on that one.
I didn't read through this whole article, so you could probably clue me into it. I just kind of read through briefly.
A paper published today in the Astronomical Journal describes an entirely new form of electron burst, a discovery made possible by the intrepid Voyager probes. These bursts are happening in the interstellar medium, a region of space.
This was the other one. This is not the plasma one I was referring to.
Yeah. There's 2 click-throughs, and this is in order. This was the first one they listed. And the first one was data from the probes revealed a previously unknown phenomena of the interstellar medium. So we're talking about a previously unknown phenomena in that interstellar area, a region of space in which the density of matter is achingly thin. That's how they worded it. As the new paper points out, something funky is happening to cosmic ray electrons that are making their way through this remote area. That are making their way through this remote area. Something weird's happening. They're being reflected and boosted to extreme speeds by shockwaves produced by the sun. So the sun makes a shockwave, and then it gets to the cosmic ray particles in the interstellar medium. Like a ping pong paddle, it just launches them even further. The process,
my brain hurt.
Yeah, the process in which shockwaves push particles is nothing new. What is new, however,
what the fuck is a shockwave? That's what I just couldn't.
From solar flares on the sun.
Yeah, what is it, like a form of energy? I guess it's energy,
like electromagnetic energy, and the electromagnetic, and then all that is essentially gravity as well. So on the electromagnetic and gravitational level of the universe, there's these high frequency.
What's happening at the atomic level if this is like launching electrons? I don't know. I'm just so stupid.
Electrons from the light energy that is coming off of this stuff. when they
Gotcha.
measure it in like infrared or whatever.
All right. Yeah.
So those are technically electrons that light heat energy. So those electrons are appearing far ahead of the shock wave, and then it's happening in a supposedly quiet region of space. So I think what's
Interstellar
happening
space.
is the shock wave is like right here, but then the electrons ahead of the shock wave are launched. So something's happening
Yeah.
in between here. They don't know what's up. So that's basically it.
Yeah, it's basically it for that one.
Yeah. Talks about how far the probe is. Here we go. The study is unique in that it looks at several large solar storms that punch through the bubble that the sun carves out of the interstellar medium and extends far beyond Pluto. Oh, here we go. These shock waves are facilitating a previously unseen behavior in the medium, namely bursts of electrons appearing far ahead of the shock waves. The Voyager spacecraft are in the interstellar medium and are therefore looking into the bubble that the sun creates. It says the sun carves out a bubble in the interstellar medium and extends beyond Pluto, like a gravitational bubble or something. So now that Voyager is outside of that bubble, it's looking back into the bubble from outside. And the shocks that cross the bubble boundary from the outside, I read that wrong. The Voyager spacecraft are in the interstellar medium and are therefore looking into the bubble and the shocks that cross the bubble boundary. They're looking into the shocks. They're looking from the outside and providing a unique, quiet observation location that we cannot observe from inside. The Voyager probes detected these spurts of energy with onboard instruments designed to detect cosmic rays. Electrons in the VLISM.
Vlism.
The Vlism. It said what that was earlier.
I think that's the sensor that it's using.
I don't think so. I think it's the interstellar medium, something with the universe.
Mm.
Yeah,
you're right.
Anyway, you found it?
No, I was just rereading that sentence, and that makes sense.
Electrons in the Vlism are bouncing off and being redirected by magnetic field lines in the interstellar plasma. What they saw was magnetic field lines in the interstellar medium are almost purely straight lines. They detected electron bursts when the shock waves first touched the magnetic field lines running through the Voyager spacecraft. The shock wave just touches the magnetic field line, and there's a jump at the shock, which reflects and energizes a few of the cosmic ray electrons. This interaction accelerates the electrons, pushing them ahead of the advancing shock waves up to 670 times faster than the shock wave that originally pushed them.
Damn.
Dude. Toward the heliopause, which is the boundary of the heliosphere.
Which means they're being accelerated to near relativistic speeds.
Whatever that means. Let's click on it and see what that means.
Yeah, what the fuck does relativistic speeds mean?
Aberration.
What?
What would a relativistic interstellar traveler see? Captain Picard orders warp speed, and we see the stars turn into lines sweeping by the ship. But how realistic is this picture? That's interesting. Whoa.
What is relativistic speed? Relativistic speed refers to speed at which relativistic efforts become significant to the desired accuracy of measurement of the phenomenon being observed. So I get it. It's like basically the scale in which you're observing the speed, to where I guess it's going so fast that you have to relate it to like the speed of the shock wave in order to, I don't know. I am too stupid for this conversation. Let's proceed.
The probes also detected the shock waves themselves, which appeared between 13 and 30 days after the electron spikes. That's how much of a delay there is. Up to 30 days of a delay. So I was thinking it's almost like magnets. When they oppose each other, you can't get them close. Like there's a space in between. There's got to be some kind of electromagnetic charge happening as that shock wave sweeping in and whatever, and then boom, it just. But let's move on to that second one.
Yeah, the second one was related to basically Voyager 1 has a plasma probe on it, a probe specifically designed for measuring plasma. And through its journey through space, it's registered 8 different plasma events, but basically spikes in the plasma field that it's observing. And in between all that, in those 8 significant events, it's able to detect this steady, persistent, long-lasting hum that's droning away at approximately 3 kilohertz. So it's basically was able to detect that there's a constant, like a minimum of, I guess, 3 kilohertz of plasma flowing throughout the universe, even in the interstellar realm. That was the gist of that one.
What's it mean?
I don't know.
It detected weak plasma vibrations in this remote region of space. Previously, the probe detected strong perturbations in the plasma known as plasma oscillation events, triggered by coronal mass ejections from the sun. In other words, Voyager 1 recorded the natural background or ambient levels of plasma that exist in deep space without the sun's meddling influence. So because it's an interstellar.
Those 8 events I was talking about were, I guess, related to like coronal mass ejections from the sun.
That's what it is. They're able to look at it without being affected by the sun because they're in interstellar space now. They're not within our bubble.
Right.
Interesting. Voyager 1 is now outside the heliopause, an area sandwiched between the hot solar plasma and the cool interstellar medium at the outer reaches of the solar system. The probe, traveling at 38,000 miles per hour, is now venturing through interstellar space. These vibrations occur at a very specific frequency called the plasma frequency. Did you read this?
Quickly, not in depth or detail.
By measuring how the plasma frequency changes over time, we can build a map of how the plasma is distributed along Voyager's trajectory and learn more about the process that determine how that plasma behaves and interacts with particles and magnetic fields in the interstellar medium. There is so much we don't understand about the universe, and we base our understanding on the things we know. So our understanding has so much more room to evolve based on a reality that is right now. We just don't understand it. Like if we could understand all of these crazy quantum phenomena happening in deep space, how would that affect our Newtonian understanding here on Earth? You know what I mean?
Probably a great deal because it's our understanding of energy and how to harness it.
And like, what would change? Would people be able to throw frisbees 10 times further because they start making them out of a certain material from cactus plants they didn't know, and it just like charges with the grass. If it flies, it makes its own static, and it just, so it's not about the wind, bro. It's about the charge you get with the ground when you throw it. It's the new frisbee.
Possibly.
It's fucking, you know what I mean? Like, what is things that would just change because this would reveal a whole new part of reality? Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
It does. I know what you mean. I don't think our biology would change per se, but
Not our biology,
maybe
but
our no, I get it, and maybe our ability to manipulate the matter around us and use and harness the energy would change our reality altogether. Yeah, you're right.
it's crazy. What's
It's
crazy is
2020.
that reality exists right now,
Yeah,
and there
it
are
does, and
answers
it's
to the
always
phenomena.
resisted.
It's like it exists now. It's only us not understanding it that's getting in the way. But that wildness is there right now. I can't put it into the right words,
I
but
get what I know what you're trying to say. I think the listeners will get it too. So since 2012, and this is what I was talking about earlier, Voyager 1 has detected 8 distinct plasma oscillation events, which ranged in length from a couple of days through to a full year. These events are caused by instabilities in the electron foreshocks of advancing shock waves produced by the sun. Beginning in 2017, however, it began to detect a weak yet steady and persistent plasma signature outside of these energetic events. Called a plasma wave emission, this newly detected signal is narrower than the plasma oscillation events, holding steady at about 3 kilohertz and a bandwidth restricted to 40 hertz. And what's more, the signal has persisted for nearly 3 years, which corresponds to a distance traveled by the spacecraft of about 10, I don't know what that
AU.
is.
Yeah, what is
AU,
AU?
which is roughly 930 million miles.
That's how far the sun is, right?
That's, I don't
No,
know.
93 million miles. Whoa.
Plasma wave emissions with its narrow bandwidth and low amplitude and multi-year persistent appears to be distinct from the shock generated plasma oscillation events, which means that I guess the universe has a steady low frequency hum of plasma in this range.
Whoa, dude.
So there you go. The Voyager probes are not completely useless, was the point of that we were illustrating through those 2 click-throughs. And now NASA is getting erratic data from a particular part of these probes, the attitude something. I don't know.
By directly sampling the properties of the interstellar medium, astronomers can learn a lot about how our heliosphere shapes and is shaped by the interstellar medium and what implications that has for conditions within the heliosphere. We don't even know how our heliosphere. That's so wild. The region of space encompassing the solar system in which the solar wind has a significant influence. Solar wind, that's a wild concept to think about. On such a massive scale, just electromagnetic energy sweeping through the system, affecting things. It's so wild.
We have such a minuscule understanding of what's happening above
and then,
us and around
Earth
us.
Is
in the soup that we reside within.
It's just like Earth has weather and it affects things. Like the storm there pushes hot air here.
We don't even have I mean, we have a pretty good understanding of weather, but we can't predict it, you know?
Well, we know it like
with 100% certainty.
We know how things get affected, the chain of events. And it's the same thing cosmically with things like this. What was it? Cosmic wind? Is that the term? Cosmic wind?
Solar wind.
Solar wind. So that's part of the whole meteorological system of the solar system, the solar wind. So to act like it doesn't directly affect Earth in that scheme of things, just like the storm in Denver is going to affect the cold front moving into Austin and Louisiana in a week and a half. It's like this solar wind moving across Pluto and Jupiter is going to affect things on Earth and then ultimately us. And even like if the crops did good that year because of this electromagnetic just kind of stayed hot and it changed the water if there was no rain, it was cold too long.
So let me ask you this. Are you one of those people that believes in like zodiacs and zodiac signs and all that shit?
Now we're talking, because no, but at the same time, like I did buy this Parker's Astrology. It's a textbook on astrology, dude. Did I show you this yet?
No.
Because stuff like this does make me curious about.
It's weird, right?
do the because it's ancient. I don't subscribe to newspaper astrology. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily subscribe to it at all, but I know it's ancient and I know it's mapped out really specifically. And I'm curious, like, what does it actually mean? Because it takes into account the comets and meteors and the all the planets and everything. It's not just your planet, like, oh, my sun Capricorn. It's like, yeah, but what about your two comets and your asteroid? And like, where's Jupiter? And then Jupiter's moon, like all this stuff is a factor, and people never factor that stuff in. So the verdict's out for me until I know scientifically and anciently what's going on with astrology. But like talking about that electromagnetic, the solar winds, like the grand scale of what's happening in the universe does affect Earth and us as people.
Yeah, it
That's
has
what I'm saying.
to a degree. Yeah, for sure.
And we can see that it's a fractal nature. We can see that when we look at the weather of the Earth, how a cold front in Denver affects Austin,
Louisiana.
It's like what's happening over by Pluto and Zeminari 5 is like a 20-year delay of what's going to happen here.
Yeah, it has to.
And we're part of it all. So how can it not impact us? It's just, how do we measure it to know a solar wind from 35 years ago is the reason so-and-so was born an artist? You know, that's kind of wild.
Yeah, all that I don't know. I don't necessarily understand, but I agree with. But I do think that there is probably something to the fact that, like you mentioned, I mean, it's like the weather works on Earth. There's probably something to the way that the universe is put together to where all of these different elements that exist around us and soup that we call reality have to affect us in some way. Just like the moon affects the tides, you know?
Yeah. I think about that a lot because we're water. That whole thing that people like to mock and dismiss, but, you know, we're mostly water. And like, how is gravity actually affecting? If it's pulling on me,
right?
I don't know. It's just weird, right? So let's move on to this other article real quick. About, since we're talking about space stuff, we can talk about that face on Mars, because
NASA
released this article talking about how it's a phenomenon called parabolia, where people read into things because they don't know what it is.
Pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
Not bolia, pareidolia.
Because this Mars face came out. They even put this slide right here. They came up with their own series of pareidolic events.
You automatically sound skeptical of this NASA release.
Yeah, this article was so, well, because we'll get into it. There was a face on Mars. That picture was taken in apparently the 70s.
Yeah, a long ass time ago.
It got popular recently. Look at these occult numbers right here, dude. The caption below the image: Viking image enlarged to 3.3 times the original resolution. Mars orbited camera images decreased by 3.3. They put 3.3 twice. NASA's Viking spacecraft took this picture on Mars in 1976. The middle and right images were from Mars Global Surveyor's Mars orbited camera in 98, showing the face eroded over time. This is what's such bullshit to me, because this is the original picture, this face. And then now they're showing.
But is there a chance? Is there a chance that they're being honest?
Oh, there surely is.
Yeah.
It just strikes me as weird, because then they go on to say, "Hey, this is a phenomenon called pareidolia, where people read into."
Well, it's a real phenomenon, though.
It is. It is. It is. And then this is where it gets weird, because they give a picture of Mars right here, and they come up with their own. They come up with their own. They're like, "Hey, look here, you can see this. Look here, you can see this." And
yeah, this one was hard for me to follow. The image of the on the right there of the Muppet. That's where I was like, what the fuck? That's bullshit.
Yeah, so they provided this picture. These two images show a Mars Spirit rover view of an area on the West Valley on Mars with some examples of pareidolia. All right, so this is a wolf. Do you see a wolf there? I don't fucking see a wolf. This is a gonzo. What the fuck is a gonzo? This is a happy face. Like, this is NASA doing this. They're like, hey, we need to come up with our own pareidolia just to show people that this Mars face isn't real and get them to stop talking about it. And then a human skull, a sphinx. They come up with a duck, polar bear.
NASA came up with this.
NASA, JPL, Caltech, Cornell University, Hartwell. That's the credits. And this is a NASA mars.nasa.gov article.
Are they saying that people have used this image to say that these were examples of these things existing on Mars?
I'm not sure. Other Mars missions have also seen interesting objects, and people have assigned them human relatable shapes, such as 2018 images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that appears to show a Muppet on Mars. Yeah, I think this is like
the Muppet on Mars is further down. Scroll down to the right there.
That's Gonzo.
They're like, oh my god,
it has Gonzo right here too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, Gonzo here too, but they have a second one here. It felt to me that NASA was trying really hard to
disprove this, but maybe they're right and they really are calling out pareidolia.
Let's read this. Some space enthusiasts and image processors alter raw imagery downlinked from NASA spacecraft and share fan-made works online. The resulting images and video are fun to look at, but not scientifically accurate. In an ideal world, imagery like that would be clearly marked as an illustration or dramatization. But that doesn't always happen, or a caption gets lost or changed as it's shared on social media. One such catchy image making the rounds purports to show a Mars skyline with clear views of 3 planets lined up in the sky: Earth, Venus, and Jupiter. It's not a NASA image and it is not real, but it is an appealing looking computer-generated image, which I never saw.
They never show that image.
So what's a space fan to do? You may wonder, how can I figure out which images are real and which are not, NASA? Any official NASA news or imagery will be shared via an official agency communications channel, including the extensive image and video databases. It just turns into this corporate, like...
Yeah, I knew that part was going to make you like super skeptical.
It was weird.
But yeah.
And this is skeptical because it's like, did it really erode that fast?
Maybe.
Like, show me the other structures around it. Zoom out and show me. Like, look at this. Oh, look, maybe it did because this little crater right here changed also. And there's this little crater.
Yeah, I mean, they could have some extreme ass weather conditions on the surface of Mars eroding this shit too.
Yeah, I mean, this could be right. It just seemed really weird. And they're looking for life on Mars all the time too. So let's not play games like NASA doesn't think ancient life used to exist on Mars, just like hollow earthers do. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's stop.
There's like a conspiracy that we came from Mars, like us on Earth, like that we are descendants.
That's what I'm saying is like they're looking for life on Mars because NASA knows that shit too. So when this topic comes up and it starts to open the can of worms, they're not ready to talk about. Even though this might be real, it still seems like damage control. To me. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you mean. I knew that's why you sent the article in the first place. It's like, Dylan's skeptical about this pareidolia shit.
Oh, yeah. All right, last article. This Naslaa rock formation in Saudi Arabia. Nobody knows how it was split perfectly down the middle.
Bro, this one looks crazy. I'd love to see that in person. It
does
look like a laser like split that directly in half.
I know, dude. Subscribe and
Oasis in Saudi Arabia.
You can support our channel by subscribing or telling your friends, or you can Venmo me and Jesse if you want to support our international studies so we can visit places like the Naslaa rock formation and give you our own pictures and real insight. We would appreciate those donations.
Apparently you could just go right up to this thing
and fucking piss on it.
Open. Yeah, you could. And there's petroglyphs on it and everything.
Al Naslaa may look, there are petroglyphs. It may look like nothing more than a massive rock to some, yet it is one of the most fascinating geological formations in history. Wow, I fucked that word up.
Geological formations in history.
Yeah, it's located inside the Tema Oasis in Saudi Arabia. The formation features a huge piece of sandstone with unique shaping on both sides, balanced on a naturally formed pedestal. It's like a big chunk of stone, but it's split in the middle, and each piece has its own pedestal.
Hey, do you want to pause right now, or you want to keep going and then just? I mean, if we're not gonna be much longer, I can just wait.
Yeah. There's not much to talk about here. It's just cool.
Okay.
We can wrap this up.
No, I don't want to super rush or nothing, but
it's got these petroglyphs like more horses and looking stuff. I wonder if it has anything to do with
did they carbon date when this was supposed to be come out? Because they didn't talk. I didn't see that in the article anywhere.
No, I don't.
I don't know that there's anything they can use for carbon dating. It's just rock, So
yeah,
they didn't talk about when that petroglyph was from or what ancient civilization carved it. But yeah, it's a really interesting geological formation in that, first of all, the split is like perfectly like laser straight when you look at the image. And then there's that one side of it, and it's just one side that is like smooth, like it's been sanded down, kind of.
Yeah.
And on the other side is rocky, like a normal big boulder. And then it's also just balancing on these two tiny little plinths, basically. And so the geologists theorize, like, what's the cause of the split? The most popular common explanation is that it was due to tectonic shifting. So I guess the tectonic plate shifting underneath the boulder caused it to split right there.
And the rock just perfectly.
Yep. There's also another theory that where you have that perfect split was actually along the fault line of the rock itself, and that wind eroded it over time because it was just a soft area of the rock.
I find it easier.
Yeah, and then there's another one that talks about how in the formation, like when the rock, I guess, was formed by cooling magma or whatever the fuck forms rocks in their ancient formation, that was actually just a fault line in the rock from where it was formed at.
Yeah, it could have snapped during the cooling time at the prime place for it to snap. Nice and clean.
So, those are the three common explanations, I guess, that geologists would go with for that, but no one knows for sure. There's also the conspiratorial aspect that, hey, maybe it was split by aliens, or, and this is the one that I like to think of, like if I wanted to think of one as being real, that our ancient civilizations back then were more advanced than we think they were by today's, understanding of them, and that they had the technology to actually split this rock in half.
But then why would they do that?
Why would they do it? Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. I don't know. Like, what would they be trying to show us from that? This whole formation is just kind of unique, though. It kind of has puzzled folks because, like, you have the split in the middle, but then also what has caused the erosion to where it's like balancing on those two little tiny plinths in the first place.
It kind of looks like water erosion if you imagine maybe
an ancient giant flood from the Younger Dryas impact.
Yeah, and as it receded, you had like however tall that is, you just had a portion of the flood now flowing consistently for thousands of years as a large river.
That's a good point.
Just kind of chipped it away, but you still have what split it like that. And I wonder if they've taken close samples of the wall inside the split to see if there's, like how they find drill marks on holes, like at Petra and stuff.
Right.
Like, hey, this was like a high-speed saw that cut this because of the way they can see the marks. So it seems like they should have done that already, right?
Right.
Some up-close sample of the wall in there to see what kind of erosion.
Which, by the way, we just need to visit Petra at some point, too.
I need one of those monocles that you can get up there, and I just need to get really good at erosion patterns. That's one skill. If I had one skill and one thing to look for, it would be erosion patterns.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, look at that.
You'd be best friends with Randall Carlson.
That wasn't water, Randall. That wasn't water.
But look how perfect that is. So this is the other side of the rock that's not like polished and smooth looking.
Oh, right. The front is all perfect.
Right. Front's all polished. The backside's all.
See, I can believe this was smoothed out by weather because it's not
Yeah.
perfectly smooth, but is much smoother. But then you have one side of it and the other side's not. So it's almost like
Maybe there's a river flowing on that one side. I don't know.
wow, that's fascinating.
It's really crazy.
What would erode one side and not the other?
They say wind did it, but
Wouldn't wind,
do both sides, right? That's what I thought.
if the wind is blowing in one direction forever, then what direction is it blowing? Is the wind blowing against that flat side, or is it blowing against this? Because wind naturally, just like water, will erode like this. Oh, look. Oh, look, it was flowing this way. The water makes this pattern when it erodes. It makes that oval.
So you think it's water?
Like the front of a boat has that shape. It's because that's aerodynamic in water, and things naturally erode in that shape in water. So I think the water flow is going in this direction versus this direction because it's not as boat shaped. You see?
Dude, it might have been a flood.
But then, and if it was wind, then it would explain why this is all coarse and fucked up, because the sand was just beating it arbitrarily while also making those little shapes down there. And then this didn't get fucked up.
Yeah, but then it's split in the middle. What the fuck is this thing? Anyway, it's crazy.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, man. Fun episode. I hope everybody learned something.
I learned that
I know very little.
No, I also learned that Honda stands for had one, never did again.
Yeah, that was fun. If you have your own car acronyms, send them into the show and we'll read them on the next episode.
That'll be the new segment.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All
right, man.
Any updates from the band? If you're in Denver, Alfred and the Detonators just got booked for June 24th at Lions Lair. Yeah, boy. So come out to Lions Lair June 24th and see us play. And go listen to our live record online.
Check out Alfred and Detonators. No updates from Golgotha and drummers out in Europe till mid-June. So we won't be doing much, nothing except for maybe writing a bit, and that's it.
Cool.
So, all right, man. See you next week.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye, y'all.
Later.